Morning. Good morning, folks.
Right. Car guys. Woo! Car gals. This is Lou Ramirez, the car guy.
This is Fred Lenartz, the subprime hero.
And we are brewing solutions on the Car Guy Coffee Podcast.
Yeah, we are.
Good morning. We have a very, very special guest that's in the mob.
He is. He's kind of a boss. So we're excited to have him here. Woo! Jason Harris. Folks, if you guys haven't heard of Jason Harris, you must be living under a rock. This guy's all over the place. His social media game is on fire.
I know that.
It is. But there's one thing that if you don't know the name, you will know the tie. He's
That's
the guy who wears the orange tie.
The guy with the orange tie.
I love this guy. We've actually had the opportunity to be interviewed on his show, which, man, we had a great time on there. And now we have the honor to finally get him on our show and be able to sit down and share some knowledge, share some strategies with Jason Harris. All right, so, folks, before we get any further, let's go ahead and get this intro going.
Tag a car guy.
Tag some people. I need you guys to start sharing because we are getting ready to go live and hard with our man, Jason. So, here we go.
Some of that.
Man, folks, without further ado, we want to go ahead and bring our guest in. This gentleman is absolutely stellar. He is an American Canadian, so it's a unique situation. He's not, no one loves him at either place, but yet they do. You know what I mean? Like, they don't accept, they're like, he's a Canadian. No, he's an American. No, he's a Canadian American. No, he's an American Canadian.
But we love him in the cafe.
We're excited to have him here. Without further ado, here he is. Boom!
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Man, we are excited to have you here. I love mornings, and my favorite part about the morning is my cup of coffee. Wow. What are you drinking on this morning, my friend Jason?
I'm drinking the dark roast of Closer's Coffee, which is our coffee brand that is supported by our Bell to Bell brand. And if you're in the car business, you know exactly what it means. Check out hashtag Bell to Bell. And it just keeps you going, right? I mean, look, when I started in the car business, there was only a handful of things that kept me motivated. That was money and coffee. And I drank a lot of coffee, and I made a lot of money. So it kind of went hand in hand.
It all works out. Yeah, coffee and money. It's a great, coffee is actually a huge asset in the world today. I mean,
it's the second largest commodity in the world, right behind oil.
There you go.
Pretty big. So it's a good thing that you got a little piece of it. We got our own action going on with our coffee, but this show is not about us. We're excited to talk about you today. There's a lot of stuff that we want to bring out with Jason, but the biggest thing is I want to hear some more of his backstory. I've heard a few stories from you from having conversation. We ask these 5 questions that we ask everybody at the beginning of the show. It's 5-liner. And these 5 questions are really important to get to know people. I think it's going to tell your story. This way we can paint a nice picture before we get to our fresh news. So I'm ready to start this 5 on. Are you ready?
Well, let's say good morning to a few of the people.
Oh, let's do that. Let's jump on there.
Laura, good morning. Laura, good morning out there. And Charles,
hey, what's up, Charles?
Just made his ride up to visit us. What an honor that was.
That was really cool,
man. What a blessing.
Charles, seriously, I want to thank you. I know I want to thank you once again for making that 6-hour total trip to come visit Lou and I at our dealerships. It was an amazing experience to sit down and talk with you, share some ideas. I'm looking forward to having more conversations with you, Charles. Thanks for jumping on this morning. Get ready to hear some great strategies and some ideas this morning. It's going to be a lot of fun. So,
speaking of great solutionaries, Evelyn.
What's up, Evelyn?
Cafe.
That's my girl.
We know that she loves to get her some Car Guy coffee in the morning. Doing whatever it is that she's doing, she makes sure to find a way to brew some solutions. Evelyn, we are so thankful for you and everybody at Think Tank. Speaking of Think Tank, this brew has been brought to you by Think Ad Group. Yes. You can get information by going to thinkadgroup.com and finding out how exactly these solutionaries can brew something for you to solve problems in your business. Next to them, we also have Elite FI Partners. Michael Altman and his crew do great things to help you build your business, but they build it as a partner with you. And we are just so thankful to have them sponsoring the show as well.
No doubt about it.
Excited. Jason.
I'm super excited.
Man, one thing that I really love, it's a good design, right? And every time I see you, no matter what it is, and this is a great testament to consistency, every time I see you, you look like you're getting ready to do a shoot for your brand. And I love it because look at how awesome he always has that tie. He always has a couple of accents of the orange.
I go to bed like this.
I bet you do. I bet you do. Your blanket comes over and there's just the tie and the shirt looks like it's right there.
5:30 rolls around, covers come off. I'm like, let's go.
Yeah, you're not gonna catch me with it off. Give me my closer's coffee. Heck yeah, man. I'm excited to have you in the cafe today, but also just to have other people that are joining us this morning. Once again, if you are watching, tag a car guy, tag a car gal.
Share some
a pal inside of this cafe with us. Let's have some fun.
What's up,
Justin Searle?
Man, that's my dude. What's up, Justin? Speaking of Think Ad Group, there he is. Hey, Justin's one of those guys that really is all about sharing and trying to get people together and all that type of stuff. So to have Jason on here now, Jason was just a guest on the Think Tank recently. I've seen you twice on
it was like the best 6.5-hour podcast I've ever done. and that's what happens when you open up a bottle of scotch with Justin. It's
Justin and Jason Garris.
We're just gonna go till the end.
We're at the bottom. We might as well clean it out, right? Yeah. So
we're gonna knock this out. I brought Stunk.
Yeah.
We're gonna be here.
Yeah. No. It's a great experience, And you were there once as like just being there as a friend for somebody else, and then you got to be the spotlight like last week. And man, you're a spotlight everywhere you go, and I'm excited to have you here. I know that a lot of people are looking for ideas and they're looking for ways to get better at this game, and I know that you can offer a ton of different ideas and just strategies that can definitely just blow people away. That's what you were doing up there in the group of people that you're trying to form right now. It's really a beautiful thing. I love the
strategy mob. Yeah. Man, it's been a really fun project. Look, I started my content game about 3.5 years ago. I got super serious about it 2 years ago, and for the last 2 years, I've just been. I record probably between 3 to 5 hours a day, every single day for the last 2 years, or every single working day for the last 2 years. And I decided that, I can only build so much content. I want to even put out more content. I remember having that meeting with my staff, and they looked at me and they're like, dude, seriously, I don't even know what else we could possibly be recording outside of you just going to the bathroom and sleeping. And I'm like, there's an idea. But no, like it was just like, okay, well, I have a voice. I know a lot of really amazing people that I've met along the way that I have networked and connected with on LinkedIn and in automotive events, and they have amazing voices. And I want to amplify not just my voice, but I want to amplify their voices as well. We got to do something, and hence Strategy Mob was born. And we spend a couple hours every single month with each of our captains.
Yeah.
And that's it. And we record their content, and so we have mobsters. You can sign up to be a mobster. You go strategymob.com. You can become a mobster. And then our content captains.
I love it.
And then we have our captains that create content. And then we do have some underbosses that will be starting here in this next quarter. And an underboss will get their own podcast series produced and sponsored by Strategy Mob Studios. So
Ooh, I'm in love with what you're talking about. And I love the whole idea. I've heard about this a little bit before, but just you breaking it down even deeper, amazing. And I really believe that you have something going on that's going to be very, very big. And I think you know that too. And the way you're doing it, hey, when you can bring together a bunch of like-minded people that are on a similar mission, it amplifies what you're doing. So like you said, you were doing 5 hours a day, you were doing all these videos, but you're like, I still want to put more content out there. And I think you did that. That's exactly right. I believe in that whole strategy too, that just the more the merrier. Some people are kind of like, it's too much. No, it's not. There's no such thing as too much when it comes to social media, when it comes to content, because there's always room for more of it. There's the one video that you put out that affects one person is worth it. You know what I mean? All videos everyone's going through different things in their lives. So everything can be out there, and you need to have that video for them or that content that somebody could watch that amplifies what they're trying to do and tries to make them motivated. And you're doing the right thing by adding captains and underbosses. I just love the name. Just talking about it like that makes me want to, no doubt, so it's like it's so cool. I love it.
Look, it's us having fun. We're not monetizing this content. Maybe someday in the next 5 years or something, we start hosting some events and seminars and conferences. I hosted the Game Changer seminar at the Rogers Stadium for a couple of years, and that was a lot of fun. So, that might come into play, but really it wasn't about that. It was, everyone did kind of give me a hard time, right? Like, they're like, are you sure you should be doing this? Your business just took a big monster hit because of COVID. All right. You're going to invest and build a whole nother brand. And, it's not cheap. It's not cheap. I think Strategy Mob has an annual budget of around $200,000. And, there's like, how are you going to make money on it? I'm like, and I love sitting down with my team and telling them, well, we're not. They're like, what? Like, quite, look, this industry has done some amazing things for me. It's given me amazing opportunities, not just for myself, but also for my family. And it's just like, there had to be some way that I could legitimately give back to the industry in a way that was just completely selfless. And this was just the direction we decided to go in. And we've only been at this now for like 6 months. And, we're fumbling our way through it. We're learning things, how to do things the right way and how to do them the wrong way. We're stumbling our way through it. But, look, I'm 10 years from now, I'm going to be incredibly excited to see what this brand is going to be all about.
That's a similar story.
We are too. I love watching other people a lot of us are on similar missions. A lot of us have a lot of similar things. Well, I have a podcast. You have a podcast. Doing things, but you're well established and you have a lot of things going for you. And to watch what you're doing inspires me. To watch what other people are doing inspires me.
And that's why I love. That's why I love hanging out with you guys. That's why I love the guys over at Think Tank. It's like there's no competition here. We're all here collectively to help out an industry that has just done so much for us.
No doubt. And that's the thing. There's so many people trying to buy vehicles. There's plenty of states, countries all over the world that are selling vehicles. The competition is not competition. The only competition you have is yourself. All you have to do is just be better than yourself. And that's absolutely what you have been doing since I've seen you, since I noticed you. You've always been on a steady climb, constantly getting better. And I appreciate that. And that inspires me to constantly do that too. Because, I can't slack. Jason's not slacking. I can't slack. This person, Glenn Lundy's not slacking. Whoever, I'm always watching and I'm paying attention to what the motivation is for them because it helps me stay motivated. Because sometimes you wake up in the morning, you're like, man, today ain't the day. But you just get up, you drink your closer coffee, you drink your car guy coffee, whatever it is that you're drinking.
Well, it's easy to get sucked into that. But, it's the same, though, as a dealership, though, right? When you're working at a dealership, the key to success is your routine.
100%.
And, I learned that kind of the hard way, but it was more of kind of just a self-learning journey about that. You know, it was like I was in the car business selling cars just like everybody else, and I would have these months, and I'd have these really great months, and then I'd come down off them, and then I'd have another one, and it was just like this constant, like I looked at my income as like a roller coaster. And I was just like this doesn't make sense, you know. And I had a manager, incredibly smart manager, who pushed me and said, you really need to dissect what you do on those months. Like you literally get a journal and just document the whole month. As you know, the month is going well, you just got to document the whole month, and you got to take a look, and then you got to reverse engineer that into a routine that you can consistently execute, and that's how you're going to succeed. And it was a lesson that I took and I owned. And it's the same as how I do my content. You know, everything is scheduled. You know, Jonathan, my camera guy, is going to meet me right after this at 9:45. We're shooting from 9:45 to about 12. Then we have meetings after that, and then we're going to do another shoot between 2 to 4 today. And you know, on Wednesdays, I record between 4 to 5 podcasts on Wednesdays for myself, and it's just like staying in that routine. Those daily routines. I mean, dude, I got to the point where in my calendar, I literally have scheduled, you know, when I'm supposed to wake up and when I'm supposed to play with my kids.
But you get smart. That's the way to do it, because you never forget, or you always make sure you have that time to include. I love how you said even playing with your kids.
It's a priority.
It's a priority. I write things down that I need to make sure, because everything, you can't just do podcast, car business, and then forget about your family.
Oh, 100%. You know what? You know what's actually really cool? A good hack, actually, for anybody out there that's got kids, is that when you schedule it into your phone, you actually have an option now to actually turn off notifications. So there's a do not disturb. So what I do is I will put on a do not disturb, which means, you know, you see all these notifications that are popping up right now. Like my phone won't ring, it won't vibrate, no notifications won't pop up. And you know how the phone's just kind of sitting there, and all of a sudden, you know, it glows on the side of your eye, and you're like,
I know, you're like, want to pull it. You're like,
what is that?
I love how you did it all slow mo.
Car Guys Coffee just updated their Instagram. But
yeah, it's true. You know, I see what you're saying. Because actually, I have that notification right there on my phone. I don't know if you can see now. You probably can. But I noticed that was the first time I noticed it was this morning. I put your reminder that, hey, Jason, we're going to be interviewing Jason Harris this morning, and it says, do you want to put it on silent mode or no? I was like, yeah, why not?
Coolest feature I think they could have ever added to the phones is you put it on silent mode. In fact, actually, you know what? Big pet peeve. I was in a dealership the other day, and I watched a salesperson answer their cell phone in front of a customer.
Oh!
And like, guys, I gotta be honest with you. I literally want to walk over to him and just kind of slap it out of his mouth.
What you're doing? No, big no.
Straight up, just boom.
Big no. Before social media became a huge thing, I used to hate it when my salespeople were on their phone all day. Like, 'cause I used to be like, what are you doing? I almost wanted them to check their phones in with me, and then they could come periodically check it. Because I felt like they were on them just wasting their day away. Like, I'm like, I get it. It's so simple just to jump on. Next thing you know, you're on Facebook. Next thing you know, you're playing a game. Next thing you know, you're just doing nothing. And that happens to salespeople out there across the country. It's very simple, because you got a computer in your hand that you could do so many things. So I can understand, but there's so many things with this tool that we have that we can do some amazing stuff with now. And that's why I fell away from that, because I really encourage my guys to get huge on social media, to use this and to follow and to learn and educate. Because there's podcasts out there like your podcast, like my podcast, like a lot of other people who have amazing ideas and thoughts through their podcast that you can educate yourself throughout the day. You have a slow day, you need to catch up on something, you feel like you need to learn something, go watch one of these podcasts. Watch Strategy with Jason, because I'm going to tell you, you're going to not only learn stuff from Jason, but he has amazing guests. He's had my favorite guests so far were the Car Guy Coffee guys. I mean, it was an amazing show.
Yeah, those guys. There was a lot of editing when I had to do that podcast, man.
Rough one. But I tell you, one thing that I can say is that one day I'm going to go on that drive show with you, and I want to sit down next to you. I'm going to be there.
Oh, dude, we got to do a drive.
I know. I want to do that. That was such a cool idea. It reminded me of like some talk shows that you see on the show. I can't remember the name, but I almost thought it was that karaoke one. Remember who was that? James Corden. He's that English fella.
Yeah, the Keurig guy.
Yeah,
he's another cool.
Carpool karaoke.
Yeah. I love that
tiny little show that people may have watched.
Yeah. I love that show, and but you kind of bring that into the car world, and I thought that was genius. There's so many things that you've done that has been innovative, like whether it's branding yourself by total accident, and we'll talk about that some more later,
Sure.
whether it's this or that, there's some amazing stuff that you've been doing, and you've been making it, and you've been noticed by that. So that being said, let's get to this 5-liner.
All right, let's
All right,
get on.
I'm ready for it. We got 5 questions that we're going to ask you. The very first one's the same one I ask everybody, and it's a very simple question. It's your why. It's your purpose. So what motivates you every single day, Jason, to wake up and just go for it and make sure that everybody in the whole world knows what Jason is all about?
This is going to sound really odd, all right? And when I say it out loud, it's going to sound like, geez, Jason's got a monster freaking ego. But it's not. It's more of an efficiency thing than anything. My why for doing what I do, as far as like my content and getting up and just creating, is I literally have this crazy idea that I want to be able to show up to an event and not actually have to introduce myself to anybody. Not a single person. They just know who I am. They know what I'm about.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds like really odd, and that's a little egotistical, but it's actually no. I mean, look, I love networking events. I'm so annoyed right now, and I'm literally like a junkie looking for his next fix because I can't go to him right now, and it's driving me nuts. But it's like how much time I spent at these networking events introducing myself and explaining to people what I do. And I just had that's my why. I had this crazy little why that I envision someday in the next 10 or 15 years, I'll just be able to show up to an event and not have to introduce myself to a single person.
That's the thing.
Is that weird? Like it's
not.
people usually come in, they have like some big epic, like awesome, like it's like
that's a great motivation, and I know what that means, and it's not egotistical. That's because you believe in what you do. You have a passion for what you do, so you want people to have the same passion too, right? So no doubt, Jason, you are definitely, if you're not already at that level, you're right there. You know what I'm saying? Like people are knowing who you are.
It's getting there, man.
And I know that that's something that Lou and I talk about quite a bit because we just started doing this year, and the whole going to these network events we haven't been able to do. Everything's canceled since we started this, pretty much, right?
No, is that stock? I am missing. So that's my why when it comes to content. Now I think maybe you're looking probably for a little deeper why of like what's my why. Why I get up in the morning, why I continue to move. You know what it is I'm an entrepreneur at heart. I just always have been. Like I've legitimately tried to be an employee, and it's just in my DNA not to be that individual. And I love running businesses. I love owning businesses. But for me, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. And I want to find that pace, and I want to run that pace. I want to run my marathon as long as I humanly can. That's it. Like it's just. I don't have the golden objective of owning a sports franchise or owning my own island or anything like that. I just want to be able to run the race as long as humanly possible.
Wow. I can honor that, and I know what you mean by that, and that's an absolutely great way of thinking. You're right. It's not a sprint. This life is not a sprint. Folks, if you sprint through life, you're going to miss a lot of stuff. There's so many things that you're going to sprint by and just not pay attention to. So take your time. Enjoy, smell the roses, do all those things, but also be in a constant growth mode, just much like Jason is. And the growth mode is something that, like he says, it's constant growth. His motivation for growth when it comes to his business side is that he wants to be at all these events and he wants people to know. And it's not because he wants to be, he's the coolest guy in the room. He just wants people to know, this is what I do. This is how I do it. And this is how you get a hold of me. And these things are so important. And Jason is building that, and I love that. And that's exactly what we're trying to build up with our brand. That's why we have people like Jason Harris on our show, so people know that we have real people and we understand the real car business. And you are definitely all about the real car business.
Oh, well, thank you, sir.
So we're gonna get to the second question, Lou. What you got for him, my friend?
Oh, just to comment on a few things going through about Jason and the way that he builds relationships. I mean, he's found some great success inside of this business. From dealing directly with a customer to now commentating and enriching dealerships nationwide with some worldwide, right? He's Mr. Worldwide, right? He's doing great things, and because of the heartbeat that he has to just connect with people. I mean, I can remember when we first connected, it was on LinkedIn, and his initial conversation is basically talking about, you have a podcast, I have a podcast, I'll get on your podcast, you can get on my podcast, whichever.
Super easy.
You have a coffee, I got a coffee. We got some stuff in common, right? And we started just talking about just natural hey, we're in the same space, we're in the same business, we're doing the same thing, but I want to connect with people that are trying to rise up also. And that's definitely some solutionary syrup, right? That is being able to be poured into whatever it is that we're brewing. But he does that with so many other people. He brings such a great aura of excellence when he is speaking, though. You want to listen to what he's saying.
I gotta get a tissue for this one.
I mean, I'm gonna hit the chest, right? We're gonna make sure that we penetrate deeply, because here's the thing: you're speaking about leaving something that we often talk about, and that's a legacy, right? So your legacy
100%.
of the content that you put out makes it to where you don't have to have anybody announce that you're here.
Let's talk a little bit about legacy for a second, because I think there's a little confusion out there about legacy. A lot of people seem to think that legacy is kind of like a sole proprietorship, right? So I had an opportunity to sit down with a incredibly wealthy individual. Just, kind of, we're talking like next level stuff, right? You're just like, at that point where you could just literally just buy whatever you want. It's just not even an issue. And I sat there and I got talking with him, and he knew down to the exact number of how many millionaires he's created over his lifetime.
That's his legacy.
And that was his legacy. Not his billions and billions and billions of dollars worth of wealth.
Come on.
All right. It was the legacy of how many millionaires he had created over his career. And I think that's key for a lot of people, is like, when you're thinking of legacy, legacy is not you as an individual, because what happens is once you pass, that legacy then dies with you as an individual. Your legacy is built around the people that you uplift with you.
That's right.
So it's not just you shooting like a star up yourself. It's you literally just taking as many with you on the way up. And that's, I think, ultimately is what builds some amazing legacies.
And that's what's so key about how it is that you approach it. That's what's so where you can
see do it together.
Is growing, right? I mean, because you have such a motivation to make sure that we are raising up together.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not trying to get above you as the business. There was such a stigma on the business, whether you were gonna rape the customer or you were going to snake your brother. That was the way that this business has operated, and that's something that we're trying to slay, absolutely kill, and to where we can say, no, we are professionals that can operate with honor and have a good freaking time. Right.
Yeah. Like, how many times did you see a manager write down a deal? A commission, because their ego got in the way, right? Like as when I was a manager, I love the fact that my salespeople underneath me made more money than me.
Yes.
It was great, because they had my back always.
That's right.
If I ever needed anything, if I wasn't even there, they took care of it because they knew I took care of them.
Right.
It's not all about making more money than the person next to you, right? Exactly. It's about the people that you uplift along the way. That's what
uplifting and uplifting.
That's it. That's what it's all about. And I agree with you, Jason. My favorite thing is on paydays when I hand checks out and I see, and this is how I know how successful I was that month. Because I could, as a manager, we're always going to do okay. We're always going to be fine if we do the numbers. But when everyone on the team is doing great, that's when you're successful. That's when you know you did your job that month. That's when you know that your guys love you, because when they take those checks home and everyone has a check, man, I feel so good. I could have made less money than I did the month before, but I'm so much more motivated. I'm so much more excited about my guys all doing really well.
100%.
That's what it's all about, that legacy. And that legacy is huge. And you're leaving a lasting one. And I'm really excited about watching your legacy grow. And that's something that I'm really passionate about too, is my legacy. The older I get, the more I'm starting to realize how important it is to not be so, we all got to focus on ourselves. We got to build ourselves up, but it's something about building other people up using what you have. When you're able to, when your cup's starting to overflow and you have all this extra, much like you do right now, and how you're trying to get it out there, you're starting to pour this cup of, closer coffee, whatever, into all these other people, and they're all getting a flavor of it. And now they're spreading that coffee up to other people, and that legacy just keeps growing. And that legacy may not even have a name attached to it anymore.
No.
But that doesn't matter, right? Because that's not what we're after. We're after, because, money's going to come. It's a byproduct of doing the right thing all the time. It's about working, hustling. So the money's fine. It's not what it's about anymore.
Isn't that cool? Isn't that cool to have that mindset where you just literally know, that your hustle will always bring the money that you need.
One
Like, it's just like I was talking to a friend the other day who lost their job, right? Like a lot of people, unfortunately, right now.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of people out there because of the pandemic and because of the impact on their businesses that they've lost their jobs, and I can just see in this face this serious just concern and worry that he's not going to be able to find another job and he's not going to be able to support his family. And it's like, and I was, and you know, it was funny, and that sounds bad actually, but it was actually somewhat difficult for me to kind of empathize with him. And of course, I did, but ultimately, you know, it's like, because I've never had that. You know, I've never been once in my life concerned that if I lost my job, I wasn't going to go get another one within 15 seconds afterwards, right? And it was just because I knew that my level of production, or my hustle, and I like that word, you know, was always going to bring me what I needed to provide for my family and to live. And it was just like, so instead of focusing on the money, I focused on the hustle.
That's exactly right, because you always get back what you put in. That's the thing about sales.
As long as you're patient.
Yeah, it's very true. It's very true. You know, because a lot of people, they give up too easy on themselves, or they think that they're failing even though they're not. They just going through the struggle that everyone goes through. You just got to move through those. The thing about sales, there's downswings and there's upswings, right? So you want to keep the upswing as much as possible, but every once in a while you have a couple bad days. You have a couple, maybe even a bad month. Who knows? But here's the thing. They don't stack up together if you stay positive and you keep moving and you keep growing and you keep trying and you keep focusing on just working on better than I did yesterday. Because consistency is so key to all this. That's probably my favorite ingredient to everything that you do. Is if you can be positive, you can do this, you can put social media out there, but if you're not consistent, it's lost. All that work you put in, everything you did is just going to fall apart. Much like working out, you could work out for 3 months straight. You're in the best shape of your life. Take a month off, see what happens.
Exactly, right?
You're right back to where you were day one, only after 30 days. So it's very important to maintain and stay consistent, and you definitely do that. You've been one of the most consistent guys on social media that I've seen.
Trying to, man.
And I appreciate that. And that's the kind of thing that I think people notice. I know I noticed that, because when I could rely on somebody to put out good social media posts that'll help me stay motivated and to keep growing, I'm going to follow them. I'm going to make sure I keep following them, liking them, sharing them, right? And that's
you know what the key, though, to consistently put out that much is to understand that when you swing, you're not always going to hit a home run.
Bam. That's facts.
Like, someone asked me the other day, like, Jay, like, how do you put out like so much content? And I said, because I don't swing for the fences. That's how. Like, I know that I'll swing. Sometimes I will strike out. Dude, there's some content I've put out there that was like, oh, why did we put that out there again? Like, that's really ugly. Or, God, did I really say that out loud? Didn't you edit that? By the way, I actually am not involved at all in any of the editing of any of my content.
That's nice. Wow.
That's another way I'm able to do it, is that I don't get involved in that. I trust in the team. I've empowered them with the vision and the direction and hopefully the goal, which is to educate. But I give them, if I was to sit there and literally look over every single post on every single video that we put, half of them probably wouldn't go out. Dude, I don't even like listening to myself. I don't like watching myself.
I hear you on that, my friend. That's a peace of mind, and you're right, folks. If you did not hear what he just said, he said once again, it's about being consistent, but it's just about putting it out there. Now, he talks about a moment ago. He says, "Well, there's posts out there that I watch, and then I'm like, why did I do that?" Well, here's the thing. There's that one person who watched that, though. There's one person out there who did watch that. Like,
if someone watched it and they got benefit, it was great. But also the other thing too is, look, you got to understand, we learn. I learn more from my losses than I do from my wins.
Thank you.
Okay, so you know, look, like we put a post out there and it just goes, it doesn't go anywhere. All right. Well, then is it weird that I actually enjoy those posts more than I enjoy the posts that, you know, get 30,000 views and 200 or 300, you know, comments and all this other stuff? Like, I actually enjoy the ones that just totally flatlined, because like I want to go back and I want to figure out why the hell they flatlined.
You learn. You're right, because you learn so much more from your failures, and because when you keep winning, well, when you mess up, you got to learn something from it, and that's fine, and that's beautiful. But I can tell you, even your messed up ones, no one notices that. That's you. You know, we all that. We're our own biggest critic, and we always have been. I think that we all can be, you know, very critical of ourselves. We can all be very critical of our videos, our voices, like this man right here. He's the worst about it. But that's okay. You know, that's why, you know, when Lou and I were a good team, because I'm I don't like my content either. Well, I do. I love it, but I don't really like how I sound or look on camera much. And I'm like, oh my gosh. But I got over that very quick because I knew that I had a mission, that there was something that I needed to do, just much like you. And you're one of those guys that I watch and I'm like, man, he's on that mission too. I'm inspired. Guys like you, I can name a bunch of names, but
there's some great people in our industry.
But but there really is.
Brian Patches of the world,
yeah.
Michael Cerulio's, there's so many, and I know I only named a couple. So if I didn't name you, it's not on purpose.
Yeah, no, there's too many. That's the beauty. There's a lot of them out there. But once again, as you hear all these names that he's mentioning, and we're all here sitting there talking, there's still so much more room for other people to do the same thing and try to grow. 100%. I encourage you guys out there who are watching right now that are on the edge of your seat thinking, oh man, I want to do something like this. I'm very close to maybe I should do this. Go for it. But here's the thing. You can't be like half the people that I'm sure Jason's seen it, who show up for a month, start doing stuff, and then they disappear. Folks, it's work. You have to do it every single day. Once again, consistency. That's a huge word. So let's get to question number 3 for you. Now,
we never got to question number 2.
Oh, we never got question number 2.
Did we only go through one? I'm sorry. I'm going to shut up and just answer your questions for now.
That's fine. It's very easy for all of these talkers to keep saying what it is that we say. But folks, I'm not asking a single question because one thing that is going to be consistent inside of this cafe is before we go too deep into a conversation, we are going to do first, everybody, and we are going to make sure that we announce what it is that we want to make sure everybody takes and puts inside of their cup. It's the culture of forgive, focusing, and flying so that you can keep growing. So before I ask you a question, my brother Jason, join us as we get ready to forgive, focus, fly. You're going to put your hands on your shoulders and you're going to wipe off the weight of unforgiveness. Put them on the shoulders. Touch the shoulders. There you go.
There we go. Okay.
All right. And you're going to wipe it off on 3. Forgive, focus, fly. 1, 2, 3. Forgive, focus, fly, and keep growing, keep growing, keep growing. All right. Now that we got now we're up in the air, folks, having a good time.
All right.
I want to get a little bit deeper now that we're all stretched out. These are things that you got to do even on the lot, right? Take guys outside, get them to stretch a little bit, get their bodies to move. If you're at a conference and you're speaking, you got to get your people to move around. You got to
move around.
How to actually get that blood flowing. So speaking of flowing, and we're going, and we got a good conversation happening. We got Colin, Charles, Russ, and Evelyn all commenting and talking about some great stuff. I mean, I love.
They all love you. Every single one of these people love you, man.
Hey guys, what's going on? That's awesome.
But I want to ask a simple question. Maybe it's been asked before. Maybe it's been asked on your show and others. But what was it that got you into the car business?
Oh, I got conned. Like straight up. I did. I was like, I had a roommate and that was working at a car dealership. I was actually working at a Radio Shack at the time. And he was like, you like selling stuff, right? And I was like, yeah, sure, I like selling stuff. He goes like, you like cars? I was like, love cars. He goes, why don't you come sell cars with me? Okay, sounds cool. Little did I know he got a $500 bonus, which I paid for longer than 90 days. So he was going through the entire university asking everybody if they wanted to sell cars. It had nothing to do with me as an individual. So the funny thing is my tenure there actually lasted longer than his did. So it was I don't even know if he actually collected on the $500 bonus.
He was out prospecting people to take the job instead of people to buy. Man, that's funny.
But I find that it's like we get into this business like one of 3 ways, right? Either we're born into it, all right? We stumbled our way into it one day. Like the stories I hear are hilarious. This is like, well, I was buying a car from somebody and then they offered me a job. Oh, okay. Or in my case, you get conned into it. So
it's true, and I love that story. That's funny that he got conned into it. That the thing is, it's things happen for a reason, and you were just meant to be in this business.
That's exactly what it was.
The business was thirsty for some Jason, So
I love cars. I love selling. I started my selling career actually with my father. We sold baseball cards on the road in the mid 80s and late 80s and probably into early 90s. Probably 90, 91 is probably when we stopped. And literally we'd go to convention to convention selling baseball cards. And he would set up his table. And my grandfather built me a little 4x4, kind of 4 foot by 4 foot kind of glass case for my cards. and I would sell like Marvel comic cards, and I would do like little action heroes and stuff like that. And it wasn't until much later on I realized that my dad brought me along because he loved hanging out with me, but it was actually a strategy he had, because these card shows, fathers would come with their sons or their daughters, right? And I would occupy the daughter or the son with some of my stuff so that he could actually suck up the time with the father and continue to sell. So it was a multi-pronged approach sell strategy. So I learned really early on of how to sell and how to create strategies around selling and targeting your audience. I mean, I remember him setting up his cards display. He'd be one of the last people in the show to set up. So you go to these big monster shows, right? You get a table, and you go to these big monster shows. It would take a long time to set up, right? But he would actually spend majority of the entire morning, instead of setting up, walking the entire place and seeing what everybody else was putting out, right? And then and only then would he go back and start putting out his own stuff. And he would just in his head know, he's like, okay, I saw these guys over there. They had those Ken Griffey Junior rookie cards over there. They're selling them for this. Okay, I'm gonna pull mine out. I'm gonna put these over here in this side of the corner. Like he even had it how you laid it out in the cases from right to left, from top corner to bottom corner. Like all of that was kind of just I learned over it, and that was at a very young age. It's how I started learning how to sell cars, or how to sell. And then cars just kind of became a fascination because I pretty much wrecked every single one I drove. Before I even had a driver's license, I had 2 considerably sized vehicle accidents underneath my belt. So,
hey, to each his own, right? Everyone learns their own way, and I can tell you that's a good story because one thing that's beautiful about that is that you and your pops went out and you guys did all that type of stuff together as a family. And there's something about that, whether it's sales or not, it was you grew up and you had a father that was there trying to teach you a skill. And you learned some stuff, walking around and the way he would look around at everyone's stuff to figure out how he was going to set his stuff up. Smart. So smart.
And then giving me that little section. You can understand, you're paying by the foot.
Yeah.
And the fact that he would allocate a couple of feet of that or 3 or 4 feet of that, to me, that doesn't necessarily, I mean, the math doesn't necessarily add up. That's another 3 or 4 feet of additional cards that you can be putting out. But instead you give it to the kid because that kid will attract the other kid. And now I can keep the dad in front of me for, instead of 5 minutes, I can keep him now for 9 minutes.
Genius. I love that. And it was smart. And it was good for you. It helped you grow confidence in sales skills. It helped you grow confidence in negotiating with people. It helped you grow confidence in just meeting new people that you've never seen before. But you all had a common thing. It's like when people come into a dealership, we're on the same mission. You want to buy a car, I want to sell a car. Let's make this work, right? So it's very much like that. You're doing that is a really cool story, man. I think that's neat. My sales, experience with my father, nothing like that. He did take me out and show me negotiating. My dad was a negotiator, and he didn't care where he was. He could be at Walmart. He's gonna negotiate at Walmart, So that's just the way my pops was. And my mother, she's from another country, so she's from South Korea, and she's very much a negotiator too. Probably one of the best negotiators I've ever seen. Like she will sit there, very, very big about it, right? And if anyone's ever dealt with a Asian or particularly a Korean woman on a lot, it's not easy. And you do have to take your time with them. And it's not.
Hey, did you ever see that TV series? I'm gonna find it now because you just reminded me of it. I think it was it Fresh Off the Boat? There was
I love that show.
Do you remember that? Okay, there's actually an episode where she goes in to negotiate a car purchase, and it is awesome. And Shaquille O'Neal's in it, and she keeps asking for the manager, and she keeps going up. She keeps going up. I want the manager. I want the manager. I want the manager. Finally, she thinks she's in the right spot. She looks around. And goes, "No, this is not the manager." And then Shaq comes out and goes, "You're the only person to make it this far." You gotta watch it. You gotta watch it. I love that show.
I think I missed that episode because
you gotta just look it up. Just look Shaq sells cars or something like that.
I'll definitely check that out. Well, it's a great story to shoot. Crazy. Crazy. That's a new word.
Crazy.
It's crazy.
Hashtag crazy, guys. That's what this morning's all about. It's hashtag crazy.
So I want to get to my third question with you. In this business, I know that you've been influenced by a lot of people. I know that you had a friend, your roommate, get you into this business. But if there was one person, and I know it's hard to name one person, but if there was one person who influenced you the most, who probably gave you the most tips, who helped you get to that next level the fastest, who would you call that one person? Or who would that one person be, I should say?
That's a good one, man. Who would that one person be? Like in automotive, right?
In automotive.
I had this manager. His name was Bird Dog. And I don't actually know if that was his actual name or not. It was just what everybody called him. And and I remember because the guy was like 6'5", 6'7", 320, 350 pounds, and he had a lazy eye, bald, just built like Mr. Clean, just like if Mr. Clean like rode motorcycles and like hated everything and looked like he'd eat children for lunch. But it was always so funny because he'd be looking this way, and you never knew. I never knew which one to look at. He'd be yelling at you, but I just remember the level of just kind of overall care, even though he was just this big monster of a person, and boy, could he get angry, But you just, it was just, there would be these moments where he just literally just like get in your space and just like nothing else was going on. And who you were at that point in time was the most important thing in the world to him. And I just remembered that. I mean, maybe because it was also because I was looking that direction. It was also the best icebreaker whenever you met customers too, because he'd be like, nope, look at this one. So it was great.
I love people like that.
I just remember that, what I learned from him, as far as being a manager was, and being a salesperson was really the art of just, really making that person in front of you the most important thing in your entire life at that given moment. And it's one thing to say, but it's an entirely different talent to actually deploy. Like it's super hard. And I even struggle with it sometimes today. It's just to really just get in front of that customer, get in front of that employee when the employee's having a hard time or they're complaining about something, and instead of just wiping it off, it's like, I remember he'd shut the door, which then scared the crap out of me, because this guy was monstrous. He would unplug his phone, all right? He'd turn off his computer, and he'd kind of like move whatever was on the desk, like parting the seats. He would just like move everything off to the side, right? And it would just be, it'd be like a 5-second awkward pause because you weren't sure what eye to look at. And it would just be like, he was just there in that moment, in that time, in that space. You were the most important thing to him. And I think that had a huge impact on me on kind of like moving forward of like how I dealt with employees, how I created businesses, how I developed strategies. It was always just putting the individual at the heart of everything. So when I come up with operational, strategies, it's like putting the customer at the core of the whole operations. When I come up with marketing strategies, putting that customer at the core, just like wanting to be in that space for that individual and just that they are the most important thing right now. And I'm going to create everything I do around them at that moment. So I don't think he probably knows that. And I wonder if he's even still around. It's been a long time. but yeah, that was a huge impact on my career was that big scary man.
I love it. Bird Dog was a good person. I could tell. This, as scary as he was the biggest teddy bear in the room. You said he could be mean, but when he gets to his customers, man, he loved them. But I can assure you, if the customer lied to him, or if the customer didn't follow up with, because he's going to deliver everything he promises. So, you can tell that's that type of guy. So the moment that somebody doesn't do that part of the bargain, they don't hold up to their end, I'm sure he was like, whoa, hold on a second, folks. Because, as a closer, folks, I'm going to tell you, it's a nice guy thing works.
100%.
But there's times where you got to just kind of put your foot down and your hand down and be like, folks, you done spent all this time with me. This is the best.
Yeah, he had that ability, but not, and even though he was physically a threatening individual or threatening looking, right? He just had this just a candid ability to do that. I just remember the other vivid thing about him is that he grew his own jalapenos at home, right? And every day for lunch he'd come with 2 of these home jalapenos about this big, and he would eat them like carrots. And it was just like, I remember because you walk into the lunchroom and you knew he was in there because you could smell the jalapenos, and he'd sit there and he would get red in the face and teary-eyed. And it was just like, why do you do this to yourself? I mean, he just kind of stood, little tears coming down and red because they're really good for you. And I remember how he'd eat them too because you didn't want them to touch your lips, so you'd kind of like. like that, and it was He was an interesting.
No, so props to Bird Dog. Props to Bird Dog. I love it, man. You know, this guy is he's, you know, when you describe him, that actually describes a few people that I've met in the car business that are just amazing. And, you know, maybe not quite to that level with the eye over here and doing all this stuff, eating jalapenos, but his personality trait, that is a huge, and that's a great leader. And that's somebody who knows how to show people how to do it and do it at a very high and effective way. Because to do this as a career, you do have to have that empathy for other customers. You do have to have understanding, but you also have to understand that you're the professional, that when you're dealing with clients, that you're the one who knows what they're doing. You're the one who can show them how to buy a vehicle. You're the one who can do all these things. I don't care if they bought 10 cars in their lifetime. I've sold thousands. So who's the professional, right? So, and that's exactly the mentality that he had. So that being said,
that's
Lou,
huge.
what you got?
Kind of leaning into the professional side of it and going into question number 4. But there's so much that we do as professionals in this business. And that's the biggest thing that we have to shake off of so many people's head as they come into this business is that they were anything but a professional before. It doesn't matter what you were before. Now you are a professional. Now you are dealing with professionals, and you're also dealing with people that are not professionals, and you have to deal with them as a professional, right? Sure. And so when you're dealing, I've always looked at this as like, okay, well, I'm in a profession, so I'm like a doctor, right? So I'm like a surgeon. They have to have my attention. Mm-hmm. If I'm going to diagnose something, I have to ask the right questions. If I'm going to cut you open and fix you, you have to have my fully undivided attention. And in order for that transaction to occur, we have to have a mutual trust amongst each other. And if we're performing this surgery, it's because you understand the cost of not doing the surgery, right? You understand what can go wrong if we do not take action at fixing you. In the transportation world, right, we're solving people's transportation problems. We're hooking them up with a car. Because of the cost of them not acting earlier, they are at the situation that they're at now, where the cars broke down, they owe too much on their trade, they didn't go about things the right way. Whatever the situation is, when we give them that full, undivided professional attention that we're supposed to, we can help extract out of them exactly what their true needs are, which is the only way, car guys, car gals, we're ever going to solve anybody's problem, is we remove the uncertainty that they have in people understanding their problem. We remove the uncertainty that they have that they have about us being able to fix their problem. And then we go forward in actually prescribing the way that we can help fix their problem. So I'm going. I know I'm going a little in detail on it, but there's so much that happens here inside of the transaction of the customer and the salesperson. But there's also this you have as a business owner, as an entrepreneur. There is a cost of not taking action into the direction that you're dreaming of, into the directions that are maybe a little bit more dangerous, right? You go in dealerships. You've had some great success in the car business. Now you've taken a calculation of all of these great assets that you've built up, all of these great things that you've done, and you've said, you know what? There's more, and I can settle for what it is that I have. I can settle for where it is that I'm at, but it's costing me actually more than I'm gaining now because there's so much more that I can do. There's so many more people that can benefit from me, right? I have a solution here, and it needs to help so many people. So what was it that inside of this calculation for you to go in the directions that you're going in now, what was it that was the most alarming thing for you to take notice of that said, you know what, I have to take action in going further than I've seen it gone before?
I think, you know what it was is watching dealerships get screwed. Mm-hmm. You know, like in it just being on the other side of the desk and getting hit up by every other vendor in the entire world, you know, with sometimes really great products and then sometimes snake oil, and just seeing amazing dealers get taken advantage because of vendors using big buzzwords and, you know, statements of technology that clearly the owner would have never understood in the first place, right? That's what really kind of motivated me to really kind of push the agency and and get in front of customers. With a dealer, you get in front of a dealer to either provide them another solution or even consult. And there's too much crap out there, and it's not good for the dealer, it's not good for the customer. So I think that's really kind of what pushed me to continue to provide, I guess, just that bit much more of value. Look, for me as an individual, it's not enough that I meet someone's expectations. I have to exceed their expectations. Look, that's not always a healthy thing, but it's just something I deal with. It's a personal thing. It's built in me. I can't do anything about it, right? And drives my team sometimes nuts, and drives my operations manager very much so nuts, because why are we not billing for this? I'm like, I don't know. But I think that's what it is. It's the intent to want to not only meet people's expectations, but to exceed their expectations. And I think what drives and motivates me in doing so is I get super pissed. Like, I get legitly pissed when I see dealers getting taken advantage of. Our margins are too low as it is.
Yeah.
And and ultimately who ends up getting hurt is the customer. So I think that's what just makes me even more angry.
Right. We have the smallest margins and the most, I guess, angst or most issues people have with anybody having a profit in this business.
For sure.
Right? We have such an ugly stigma that we're cleaning out. We're getting these symptoms to stop being what's affiliated with the car guy. Now, some people are starting, this generation is starting to buy cars and never really meet a person, right? They've done incredible advertising to get you scared of the dealership experience, right? They've done that. They've made it to where you don't want to go there. If anybody's seen the Vroom commercial where they make it like it's this big giant circus of scary, because sometimes that's what it is with old mindsets and with the old tools and with the old way that you used to feel like you had to manipulate a customer in order to gain the win. That's
maintain control, Lou. Come on.
Yeah, get control of your customer.
Get control of the customer.
Get control of them. You got no control.
Make the customer hold the hood open while you do the demonstration just to show that you're in power. Do you remember that?
Oh,
I legitimately remember getting trained to do that.
Or have them go inside the trunk. Or I was just fun. Just make them switch chairs. I actually did that, and I kind of regret that. Was when I was young, but like I would have somebody, hey, sit right here. They'd sit down. I'm like, no, you know what? Sit over here. Oh, you know what?
Just to show that I have control of this.
Just to show the whole showroom I had control of my customer, which was kind of silly. I don't know why I did that. I was young. I was like early 20s. I thought it was cool.
What we were showing.
I was like, look at me, boss. Look at me. I got control. Hey, it's over here. But,
that's how we were trained to do. We weren't trained to work with the customer. We were trained to control the customer. All right. And so what we're doing, what we're dealing with as an industry is we're dealing with the last 30, 40, 50 years of being taught how to control. And now all of a sudden as an industry, we're being told that we need to work with the customer.
They have control. They have so much knowledge. We were always the guys trying to hide our cards.
100%.
Trying to be like, oh, no, we're not going to show you this and keep them in the dark until they get through the box. And then when they get through the box, maybe they'll find out what they did. That picture of the guy in Suckers, remember in Suckers, Car Guys and Car Gals?
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
His contract and he's crying in the shower. What have I done? Right?
What did I do?
And that was like a small sense of pride. Some car guys enjoyed being the ones that put a person in that situation.
100%.
So how hard is it to learn how to shift into, no, folks, we care about you. And now we understand that the only way that our revenue gets better in time is if we build solid relationships now over time. And that is a paradigm shift that's completely happening now. Some of it's forced. Some of it's because we absolutely have to give them the information. Why? Because 90% of the other dealers already gave it to them. It's right here. They can access it. And that is why there's so many people that, and we've said it before, that are WebMDing themselves, right? They think they know everything already before they get in front of a professional or they get the chance to talk to a professional. So it makes the average car guy have to step his game up a little bit and stop playing the smoke and mirror game. Stop playing 3-card Monty. This is not the street where we're hustling people. This is where we're really trying to find a way to help people. And our particular commodity is a vehicle that moves at incredible speeds on roads that is a deathly ride if you're not careful with what it is that you're in. I mean, this is a
it's our job now to facilitate the experience, not to facilitate the transaction. And when we started in this business, and I think there's still a lot of dealerships that still participate in this model where they just want to facilitate the transaction, and it's either the customer has control of the transaction or I have control of the transaction, and it's usually the dealership that takes control of the transaction, and then never it doesn't. What that does is just doesn't create a good experience. So you have to decide as a dealership of what are you going to facilitate? What is your primary goal, the transaction or the experience? Now, look, every vertical out there, every other major industry that is focused on the experience has ultimately been more profitable than their counterparts that focused on the transaction.
Right. And they balance stuff, right? Because the ending transaction should give you the right taste of the experience, right? You should say, yeah, I remember the full experience of this great product that I have. If it's the little twirly thing on a pen that costs $37 at Disney, you want to enjoy that experience of that little tiny thing that you actually had. Like I remember standing in line for this, but all the crazy stuff that was going on, right? And that one thing that sits and never gets touched, never gets used again, but you remember that experience that you had when you got to go there. And that's what makes your brand last the test of time. That's what makes your legacy actually stand. That's what makes you be able to stand inside of a room. And again, nobody have to say your name, but they remember the impact and the experience they had learning or getting something from you, from your content.
The funny thing is experience, focusing on experience. And because someone the other day was telling me, well, Jay, that's going to take me a long time. And right now I'm just trying to save money. You know what? And I thought about that. You know how much money you actually save focusing on experience and not transaction? Think about that. Think of actually, of course, now my marketing hat kicks on, right? And when we're always focusing on transact, we're focusing on one thing only. That's the price. So therefore, all of our marketing dollars get pushed into what? Price, right? But prices change, and I always have to. So I'm always acquiring people based on their price. Well, no one ever look. You ever gone to a dinner party where someone says, "Hey, I just bought this brand new SUV. Oh yeah, which one did you get?" Well, I got the $238 biweekly one. That's the one I got. Oh yeah, no kidding. That's nice. No one says that.
No.
No one says that, right?
That would be weird.
Like, it would be weird. I can't wait till I find someone that finally says something like that. I got the $300 biweekly one. But it's not. So that's not how the customer associates. So that's not. But for some reason, as us, that's how we decided to focus on the transaction. The transaction has to do with the price. Instead, what it is if we actually start to focus on the experience, my cost to actually market the experience is a lot less than my cost to have to actually my cost to market the price. Because now with price, I'm competing with everybody else.
That's 100% right.
So now it's just a race to the bottom. You want to talk about a race to the bottom? I gotta be honest with you. I saw something the other day that super pissed me off. It pisses me off. I actually saw a vendor, a marketplace, all right, giving out awards, like an actual trophy for having the lowest price.
What?
Yeah. And I think they masked it by saying the best price. That's what it is. Sorry, it's the best price, but we know what that means. Right? So they actually were awarding dealerships. And this is a big
I would hate to have that plaque in my store. I'd be like,
if someone gave me that plaque, I would just literally throw it in the dumpster. I'm like,
I got messed up last year. I don't know what I did.
How much did I pay you for this plaque? How much exactly did I pay to get this plaque? For me to be the cheapest one doing this, I probably
that means all I was focused on. It means all my marketing, all of my efforts, all of my messaging, everything was focused on one thing only, and that was the price. So I don't want to be known as that dealership. I want when someone's at that dinner party and they're saying, yeah, what kind of car you bought? Oh, you know what? I bought this really cool, pre-owned Nissan Rogue, from these guys, and they were just absolutely amazing, man. And they just walk you through the experience, right? That's how people really talk at dinner parties. They love to talk about amazing experiences they had at a restaurant or a hotel or with another business. Like that's what people want to talk about. So now you're talking about your cost of marketing that experience a lot less because you only have walking, talking billboards that are out there spreading the good word about your experience. No one's going out there telling people at dinner parties that they bought the $238 biweekly SUV.
Nope. And man, I did the best. I found the best price. I'll tell you what, because nobody still wants to talk about that when they get with their guests because they're like, yeah, but I found it right here for cheaper. Guess what? It's right here. It's
Experience,
over.
experience trumps price every single day.
Right. You are seared by the experience, folks.
So I'm going to get to my fifth question, the fifth and final question of the day. Now, all of us, we've been through some stuff, and this is actually one of Lou's favorite questions. It's about the reward of everything that you've done in life. There's always one thing that maybe sticks out. There's a reward that you received or something that you feel like the biggest reward for everything that you've done, from your integrity to your work, to your ethic, to your consistency, to your everything that you've done. What is the biggest reward that you've gotten from this?
The biggest reward I've gotten from this, it kind of goes into kind of my why at the beginning, right? Is that my biggest reward is the ability to continue to run my race. You know, I watch a lot of small business owners right now go out of business, you know, because of COVID and, you know, because of the loss of business. And so, you know, the biggest reward that I have is that ability to continue to run. Like, I mean, put all that hard work in, all that content, all those relationship building times, and just, and the reward is just simply just to continue to be able to run. And you know what? I'm not a runner, by the way. My physique, I know, is a little alarming there. You probably assumed I run marathons all the time, but no, I don't.
You're right. I did. I assumed that.
But you talk to marathon runners, and this is their mentality, right? All of that hard work, all of that pain, everything that they did, everything, all the time they put into it, all of the instead of taking that pint of beer, ordering a glass of water, like all of those little things combined was so that they can put themselves into a place of pain again and continue to run another race and another race and another race. And as an entrepreneur, that is the reward. The reward is to continue to run the race.
Man, and that's a great way of putting it. I agree with that. I know that's what you're doing, and I know that reward is a very good feeling, and I feel that. I totally understand what
you're doing. Isn't that great? It's so rewarding to wake up and say, you know what, I get to run again today.
You know, it's true. You know, I'm not a marathon runner at all. I don't even really run.
If you see me run, you better be running too, because I don't run. If I'm running, I'm running from something. So
right. Yeah. So when it comes to all this stuff, everything we've talked about, it's 80% mental, folks. 80% mental, your mentality. So whatever you're doing, you have to have that right mentality, because 20% of it is the other stuff, but 80% is just your mind. So make sure that you guys have the right mindset. Make sure that you're ready to go. Make sure that you're ready to run this marathon. Make sure that you understand that it is not a sprint. It is a marathon. Now, you could throw in your little sprints in the middle of a marathon, but it's never going to last. You got to make sure that you pace yourself. Understand that things are going to happen as long as you stay consistent and you keep moving. I love this. I love the 5-liner today with you, Jason. It was an amazing 5-liner. You definitely talked a lot of great nuggets in there. I love your past story, talking about your biggest influence, how you got in this business. All that stuff's so important to be able to know the real you. I think I got to know you a little bit better today. I'm excited about that. We still do have one more section I want to do with you. It's the fresh news. I know you're short on time. You're very busy, but I want to knock this out because this fresh news is important. It's all about what you're currently doing and how people can get a hold of you, the whole nine. So let's get to it.
Car guys and car gals, this is Lou Ramirez, the car guy.
This is Fred Lenartz, the subprime hero.
And we are here with the strategy, my boss, Jason.
That's right. Hey, man, kiss the ring. All right, so
we're going to be right back. We'll be right back, folks.
All right.
Hey, so cool. Here we are. All right, so car guys and car gals, this is Lou Ramirez, the car guy.
This is Fred Lenartz, the subprime hero.
And we are here with the strategy, my boss, and he is bringing us some fresh news. Jason Harris, welcome back to the cafe. You ain't gone nowhere. We've been here.
Okay, guys. This is fun.
Hey, man. You ready for another cup? You need a refill? Yeah. Here we go. So this is a great opportunity to talk about what is going on with Jason. And he is just an incredible car guy that is making some big things happen all throughout the industry. And he's affecting some great car guys. One thing that I'm honored with is that we get the chance to build a relationship with him. We are like-minded. We actually have similar platforms in what it is that we do and some of the content that we bring. But he's flowing on a frequency with Fred and I and all these other solutionaries, including those in the think tank and the elite FI partners. And we are actually trying to find a way to upshift and uplift this industry. And we appreciate being brothers at arms with you and bringing the power of positivity to an industry that has been plagued with percolating problem people. And we're trying to end that type of a culture. Jason, welcome.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Appreciate you having me.
So fresh news is one of my favorite parts.
Fresh news. All right.
Fresh news is all about you. I want you to tell the people, I got your email address at the bottom, folks. If you need to get a hold of him, if you have any solutions that you need in your neck of the woods, make sure you reach out to Jason. Jason has a lot of ideas. If you're a rising solutionary yourself and you want to figure out how to become part of the strategy mob,
Reach out.
You need to reach out to him. He's looking for hungry people out there doing their thing. People
looking for voices. Looking for good voices. That's what I'm looking for.
So he's all about it. Just reach out, folks. If you're too scared to even reach out, then you're probably not going to make the mob. So that's the way it goes. So make sure that you have.
You're going to be swimming with the fishes.
Swimming with the fishes.
That's right. So, folks, I'm excited. So Jason, tell us a little bit about what's going on in your life right now. What's hot? What's not? What's making you motivated? What is going on in your business? How do people get a hold of you? The whole nine.
Well, it's easy to get a hold of me. I mean, pretty much just any social network out there, type in strategy with Jason. It's you can Google it. You can, if you use Bing. I don't know why you're weird, but go ahead and use it. But you just look up strategy with Jason, and the first 2 pages are going to just be me. So feel free to connect with me in any way or form. But that is the easiest way to find out anything we're doing now. Our newest brand is Strategy Mob. Strategy Mob is a collective group of automotive thought leaders and operational consultants and people that are just in it, doing it every day. And we're putting together this mob for the betterment of the entire industry. What is new and fresh with me? Let's see, what projects can I talk about and which ones can't I? Oh, I got one for you. You guys are gonna love this. So this next quarter, you're gonna need to keep your eye out for the Strategy Mob van. That's right. The Strategy Mob podcast studio on wheels will be traveling across the nation once these borders are opened, and we will literally be taking the show on the road, and it will be coming to a town near you.
It's literally a road show.
Yeah, we are. We're gonna literally, it's something I've been wanting to do for the longest time. We're getting it's a Sprinter van. I think that's what it is. It's a Sprinter van. It's being all decked up. It's gonna have all the camera, all the wiring equipment, all the audio equipment, everything in there, where it's just literally we can hit the road and we're just going to record pretty much all the time. And we're just going to visit some amazing dealers across the nation, and we're going to find out what makes them amazing.
I freaking love that.
You need to jump in that van.
I hope you don't.
Yeah.
If you get down to the Kentucky neck of the woods, you better come holler at us.
Okay. This is why, it was actually planned and scheduled for this year.
Right. Well,
this little tiny thing called the pandemic happened.
Yeah,
that kind of sucked. No, okay, I gotta ask you guys a question. Because my team's I'm against this, but they think it's funny. They actually want to plaster my face on the side of the van. I just want to put the logo, but they actually think it would be hilarious because the van's what is it, 9 feet tall or something like that. It's one of those big monster, extended vans.
I think you need to put yourself on there, because here's the deal: your Strategy Mob and all the stuff, that name is recognizable, but you're the face, man. And it's funny, and as silly as that sounds, it doesn't sound silly or funny at all. It's what you are, and I think that you need to be on there. Whether it's even if it's like a cartoon version, almost where it's just your tie,
there we go,
like the head shape. And then maybe just the
orange
tie or something like that, where it's kind of like a logo that maybe you need to come out with. I think because that tie is so recognizable now. I think everybody knows you for that orange tie.
So I was thinking about actually having my guest. I was gonna just bring these ties. I found this. It's funny. I buy this generic tie. I buy it on Amazon.
Right.
It's so generic. They don't even call it orange. They actually just have the hex code for it, which is EF313. That's how generic these ties are. It's amazing, right? And I own 19 of them now, right?
It looks great. You can't even tell it's a generic tie. It looks like a very nice piece of tie up there. That looks good. You got the nice dimple in the middle. It's got a fat knot. I love it.
Got a fat knot.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I had a tie. You guys remember the first time you had a tie?
Oh, yeah, I do.
I remember it's actually the day I became a manager. Prior to being a salesperson, you wore these polos, right? you know, and then, but when you became manager, you had to come to work now with a suit. And that was the first day I had to tie. I remember I spent like 2.5 hours before having to go to work, and I had no idea how to tie. I'm doing one of these, and I'm doing that, and I'm ripping it this way, and it's like, seriously, it must have taken me 2.5 hours. Still today, I don't even know how I tie a tie, and so people ask me, I'm like, I don't know. I kept filling with it now. This is the only tie I know how to tie. That's the only knot I know how to tie, and it's just literally been that way since the day I became a manager in the business.
Well, you tie it exactly the way I would mine. Mine's always going to have about that size knot, and then I'm going to have my dimple dead in the center. I might even throw a double dimple if it's a different type of tie, depending on the material. But the single dimple is classic. It's perfect. It looks sharp. It shows that you care about the way it looks, all that type of stuff. Because I've seen those. You've seen the guys.
Yep.
Skinny knot, tied completely tight, and doesn't look. It's like it could be even uneven. I'm like, whoa, bro, we need to redo your tie, man. I can't stand a bad tie. It just looks bad. You know, come here. I'm weird like that, but no, your tie's on the point. So yeah, I think that a logo like that, you know, maybe coming out with like a graphic that has your tie.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, maybe even since it's going to be on the van for podcast, has your headset with the orange in it too. You know, so.
Oh yeah, see that would be cool. Yeah, so we're excited. We're getting, I think we're getting the van here in January.
Oh man,
and we're gonna get
a little idea because it's mob is to make your car look like. Make it the van look like you're riding in a giant mob boss ride, the background and everything, and have you in the back seat with your whole thing, you know, characterized, whatever. But it
like really like do a little
like make it look like a mob boss car coming through. You know what I mean? And make that be, whoa, what is happening there? And then, you know, maybe your logo's on the back or whatever. Or if it's decaled all the way around, it can look like this mob boss car riding around.
Well, the funny thing is the thing already looks like a limo because it's just all black and all the windows are already just blacked out. I'm okay with just leaving it the way it is, but
yeah, actually black is nice, you know, especially if you're going for that mobster look, right? So yes. So
that's our goal. So that's what's fresh. That's what's new with me. It's you know, it's funny. It sounds like it's super easy. It's not. There's an obscene amount of a planning and organization that goes into it. We're actually bringing on some new staff members just to support and just kind of launch the whole thing because there are so many little technical things that go into it. Setting up the times of when you can meet with someone. Right now, it's a little difficult because we just simply don't even know what's going on.
Yeah.
We have no idea what, you know, this holiday season is going to mean for our industry. You know, so we're definitely, like I said, it was something we were planning on doing this year, hoping that it's going to be a Q1 thing for 2021. But I am really, really excited about putting on thousands and thousands and thousands of miles in this van and camera crew, and it's just going to be there's going to be kind of like there's going to be like the behind the scenes like series 2 of just living out of a van for whatever 4 or 5 months or 3, I think 3 months. 3 months
documentary style. Right.
Yeah. My team's actually kind of excited about it because I won't be in the office for 3 months at a time. There's like, go away.
Dude, I think it's genius. I think that what you're getting ready to do it's uncharted territory. I think that you're going to be a trailblazer through that. I think you've already been a trailblazer for a lot of things. I'm super excited to see how that turns out. Hopefully, somehow, some way, we can get part of that. You know, I think that it's going to be a lot of fun for you. I think it's going to be a lot of fun for the car people out there that are going to see the Strategy Mob bus pull up or whatever brand you put on that. Whenever it pulls up, it's going to definitely be like, whoa, they're here. And I think it's a big deal. And I think that more people need to do things much like how Jason is. Everybody out there, if you've got something and it's an amazing idea, don't be afraid to execute it. The only way you can make it happen is by taking each step towards it. Every day, try to grow towards your goals. Try to do what you're supposed to do. Jason is extraordinary compared to a lot of people when it comes to exceeding his own expectations, trying to get to that next level, but trying to find. And once he finds something that he's good at, he realizes there's still room for growth. Because the biggest room in the world, folks, is the room for improvement.
That's right.
And the thing about Jason is that he's always looking for that. He knows he's the boss. He's the boss. But he also knows as the boss, you can't just sit there because eventually somebody's going to try to take your seat. So
like we're constantly having to reinvent ourselves. Like there's
you bring that level up, and I appreciate that about you. And I know that's what you're going to keep doing. And I love that I love following you. I love seeing what you're doing out there. I love to use you as inspiration. I like to use you as a faraway mentor in a sense, you know. So it's a beautiful thing to see what you're doing. This fresh news is amazing. Is there anything else you want to throw into this fresh news before we get this thing done?
Anything else I want to throw into this fresh news? Oh gosh, can I say that? Let me think about that for a second. All right, you want an exclusive? You want an exclusive?
Yes, this is an exclusive.
An exclusive. All right. Starting here at the beginning of November. All right, we will be launching the most affordable franchise-approved website solution in North America. You will be able to now have your website. You get to have your cake and eat it too.
What?
For $199 a month. That's it.
What?
That's it. That's it.
We need to talk. We need to talk.
That's it. You know what it is? Okay, so this actually comes back to what we were talking about a little earlier, how I get pissed off that we go overcharge stuff. Like, look, the fact that dealers have been spending almost $1,000 plus, sometimes plus, all right, a month for their website solution for the last 10 or 15 years is insane. The technology has changed. Server expenses have changed. All right, Chrome data feeds have changed. Like development costs has lowered. Like all these factors have lowered. Except as an industry, we continue to charge dealers obscene amount of money for the website solution. I'm not going to do that. We are going to provide a franchise level system. So that means non-franchise can do it as well. But it's one thing to do non-franchise. It's even harder to do the franchise level. We went all the way to it. So an OEM level style website solution for dealers at $199 a month.
Hope you guys are hearing that. That is an exclusive. Folks, do not miss out on that opportunity. Make sure you reach out to him. You know, I've put his email address. I've done all that stuff. Folks, here's his email address. Make sure you reach out, ask questions. That kind of thing. It's, you said, starting in November?
Yes, November 1st.
Ooh,
we're building this thing now.
We're right around the corner from that.
Yes.
You guys need opportunity. If you're a store and you're tired of throwing money away on your website,
yes,
you better reach out to him because he said less than 200. I love how he did 199. 199. Right? So
we're a card guy. And that's monthly, not bi-weekly, boys.
Okay.
It's monthly.
Keep it on the monthly.
It's monthly, all right? So I love it. We're excited to hear about all these stories. You have a great future. You already know that. I'm looking forward to growing with you and watching you grow, becoming friends, staying friends, the whole nine. Thank you so much for coming on our show today. It was a great time. The 5-liner was awesome. This fresh news was amazing. Man, we actually, just two things I didn't know about the travel van that's going to be going around. I can't wait for that. And then the mob van, and then of course I love that name too, mob van. So then two, folks, he's got website solutions for you all the way up to the OEM to the franchise dealers, all out there. It doesn't matter if you have a store and you want to save money and you want to get great product for it. It's not just because you're not just going to save money and get crappy product. You're going to get an elite product, but at a savings, because today's world, you deserve those savings. Everything does not, those things are not what they used to be. So Thank you for bringing that up. That is a great exclusive for all you guys out there, all you gals out there, for everybody out there. Reach out to Jason because he is the boss. So make sure you check it out. We had a great time this morning, folks. Everyone, appreciate you for coming on. Jason, thank you for coming on. You guys go into the world and make sure that you guys look for that light, because that light is everywhere. There's all kinds of people out there that are just doing amazing things.
Yes.
Make sure that you get a little piece of that and enjoy it. Put it inside your life. If you have nothing but darkness, folks, it's your own fault. It's all right between your ears. Make sure that you use that positivity, because your attitude will always determine your altitude. All right, let's get this day going.
Car guys and car gals, go be the solutionaries that you are. Jason, thank you so much for being here with us. This is Lou Ramirez, the car guy.
This is Fred Lenartz, the subprime hero.
And we have been brewing solutions with the strategy, my boss himself. Jason, thank you so much.
Thank you very much
for being here with us.
Thanks, guys.
Go make something great happen, everybody.
We'll see y'all
Upshift and uplift. Love you all.
And as we go out, just like we went in, our intro is now our outro. Peace out. See you.
Focus. Fly. Keep growing. Keep going.
Boom. Y'all have a good one. We out. See ya.